to my YouTube channel, Mexicanas en el Mundo. I'm Alexandra, a Mexican in Switzerland, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a recipe that my mother-in-law taught us. And it's a very special recipe to me because it has a funny story behind it. I'm going to baptize it the piggy bread. It's a spice bread, but here's why it's the piggy bread. If you haven't seen my how to make marranitos or piggy bread video, you'll understand why, so go watch that first. Those breads are very typical in Mexico. I love them, and when you live in Mexico, you don't really need to know how to bake these breads unless you really love baking, because you can get them practically in every corner store. You can get a bunch of different Mexican pastries and goodies really easily. So when I moved to Switzerland, I was packed with a bunch of stuff that I wanted to eat over here, because you can't find many things that you find in Mexico, in Europe, or other parts of the world. So among those things, I had the piggy breads. And I unpack, I'm all happy because my piggy breads made it to Europe fine and all in one piece. I put them on the counter, and then I forget about them for a couple of days. 2-3 days later, I thought, oh, I'm gonna have my piggy bread with some coffee. And when I go up to the bag where I had them, they were all moldy. So imagine, I was freaking out and practically wanting to cry. It was my bad. I left them in the bag and they steamed up. Europe gets like really hot in summer. So they got all moldy. They were unedible. They went straight to the garbage. And my husband sees how upset I am, and he says, don't worry, my mom makes a cake which is very similar to that. I'll fix the problem. Don't be sad. Go sit down. So I go sit down with my heart all broken in a million pieces, and he's baking and baking, and he comes over and he shows me this bread, and it smelled amazing. It has a lot of spices and it's really delicious, and it's very similar to the piggy bread. So if you guys don't want to make the little piggy breads, this is much more practical. It's similar and you're gonna love it. So follow me to make the recipe. Okay, so here are the ingredients laid out. The smell is amazing. As you can see on the plate, there's a lot of spices, and all these spices are very fragrant, so it smells really nice in the kitchen even without having to bake anything. So, okay, let's get started. It's 1 cup of double cream or heavy cream, 2 eggs, 200 grams of sugar, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of cacao powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, a pinch or a dash of ground ginger, a pinch or a dash of ground nutmeg, and a pinch or a dash of ground cardamom. I have this special measuring spoon which has up to 1/16 of a teaspoon. Many people don't have such a small size, so what I can also do is you just grab a knife, and whatever you can grab with the tip of your knife, that's about the dash, or you can use your 2 fingers, and whatever you grab, just sprinkle it on the plate. It's very little that you need. You're also going to need 200 grams of flour and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, so this recipe is really super easy. You just need to put everything into your bowl and mix it. That's it. It doesn't really matter in the order you do it. But what I like to do is I like to sift all the dry ingredients first. You don't need to do that. We've done it without sifting and it turns out just fine. I like to sift it first, so let's sift our dry ingredients and then we'll keep mixing. the colander fell in there a couple of times, but nothing fell out, and like I said, you don't really need to sift it. It's more just an extra thing to add to it. And as you saw, so I just added everything in there, the half and half and the eggs. There is nothing special. It's a really easy cake to make. So now let's just start mixing. Okay, so before we put the batter into the cake mold, you have to preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 355 Fahrenheit. And once it's done preheating, you're going to grease your mold. I'm going to use a spray version of the grease. You can also use butter. Just do it very well, like every single edge, so that you can pop it out of the mold easily. Otherwise it sticks and that won't be nice. It's going to bake for 30 minutes. And once the 30 minutes are done, you should test your cake. You can either use a toothpick or a cake tester. What you do is you insert it into the bread, and if it comes out dry, it means that the bread is done, it's cooked. If it comes out wet or humid, it means it needs an extra time in there. But do it once the 30 minutes are done. Don't do it before, otherwise your cake will collapse and you'll be very upset. So just check it once the 30 minutes are done, and hopefully it is cooked. It usually is done by the 30 minutes. So the cake has cooled down, it's baked fully. I tested it with the toothpick or the cake tester. And here's a part 2 for the story I started in the beginning. The piggy breads that you eat in Mexico, in the region my family's from, which is called the Highlands of Jalisco. My mom would give it to us with nata, which is like the heavy fat cream that comes to the top of the milk when you boil it. When you buy whole milk from the farm, that it's completely whole, it's not pasteurized or anything, you have to boil it for a while. And once it boils and cools down, the fat goes to the top. So that fat is what's used to make butter. You churn it and it turns into butter. So when I first tried this cake, my husband says, oh, this cake, actually we eat it with butter. You have to put butter on the top. It tastes much nicer. So for me, it was like, oh wow, the cake tastes the same as the piggy bread, and you actually even eat it the same with the buttery cream on the top. So it gave me the idea that even though it's such a different culture, Switzerland and Mexico and any other countries, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're willing to look for food which is similar to the one that brings joy to your heart, to your home, you'll find it. You just have to look. And if you don't find it, then you make it, which was this case. My husband wanted to cheer me up with the loss of my bread, which was a terrible loss for me, and he made something which was very similar to something that I knew. So you guys, come on, bake, cook, do stuff that's nice for you, that'll make you happy. And if you could smell how nice this cake is, you'd run to the kitchen and bake it, because it's done in, I don't know, 30 minutes baking and 15 minutes mixing the batter. So hurry up, go to the kitchen and make it. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please watch the other videos. Just click on the links, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.